Hey, what's up? What's up, everybody? You tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Ken Dow. This is a place where we bring art, culture, and politics all together, and we do it every Sunday right here on this channel. But when I'm not shooting this podcast, I am the owner of Strategic Resources, where we specialize in political campaigns, government, and public relations. Been doing it in this state for over 25 years, and I want to help make your next move a strategic move, and this program gives me and my friends an opportunity to do just that. So, if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, what I need you to do is hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell as well so that you will know the next time this program comes on. But today, we got a special guest in our audience. We got a special guest in our house today. She's in domestic relations. And all the last few days when I knew she was coming on the program, all I can think about was just saying these words. We're now about to tune into another episode of Divorce Court. I don't know why. That was stuck in my head. It's stuck in my head. Divorce Court. We're going to tune into another episode of Divorce Court with you. Chief, what's going on with you, sir?
Hey, what's going on, Ken?
Everything's good, man. Everything's good. A nice gloomy day. We got our guests in the house today. I hope you got your question ready for Lateef. Got questions for us today?
Yeah, I'm gonna drop.
Go easy on me, Lateef.
Without further ado, I would like to welcome Judge Tanya Jones to our studio.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's my honor to be here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Hey, we appreciate you taking the time, Judge, to come in and talk to us, to educate us a little bit about what's going on over there at the divorce court. And we're going to talk about all the courts a little bit because we're just not going to keep you over there. You've been around for a little bit. But in true fashion of how we do things here, you need to tell us, where do you grow up at?
I actually grew up in Opelika, Alabama.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
You know what? When I was doing it, somebody said you were from here. And I said, I think Tanya told me she was from Alabama.
Yes.
So you are from Alabama.
I'm an Opelika homegirl, yes.
What's Opelika, Alabama?
Opelika is, I want to say it's a suburban community, but of course it's not. It's a rural community, and it's adjacent to Auburn, where Auburn University is, and Tuskegee, where Tuskegee University is. So
it gotta be a small town, right?
Very small town. It's about an hour and a half away from Atlanta.
Okay.
And yeah, that's
so you right there, Alabama, Georgia.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you grew up down there your whole life, or?
I grew up down there, lived there most of my years as a child, and then when my parents divorced, my mother migrated to Cleveland when I was 16, and so I've been in Cleveland since I was 16 years old. Yes.
So you originally are from there, and you came to Cleveland. So where did you go right when you came to Cleveland? Where did y'all live?
Listen, we lived on 110th and Woodland. We lived on Crestwood.
Oh.
So yeah, and I went to John Hay, proud Hornet, graduated from John Hay High School.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you was over on Woodland.
Yes.
In the Woodland area. So you went to John Hay. How was your experience coming from Alabama to Cleveland? Ooh. I know that had to be a trip. Now, before I get there, you got brothers and sisters?
I do.
Who all came up here with you?
I do. So my dad has 3 other children from different marriages, but and then with my mom, I have 2 brothers. He has 2 sons. So it's 3 of them. My mom had 3 biological children, and my dad has 3 other children. So, but we all, which is amazing to me. I'm so very thankful that all my siblings and I have a great bond and a good relationship. We talk daily, and we don't think of halves and wholes or any of that. We're very fortunate to have the love of actually 3 different mothers.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. And our moms got along. They made sure we spent time together, and it's very unique, as certainly I've come to realize from what I do every day. No,
Dad was a bad man.
Yeah, Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Not only a Rolling Stone, but he kept it together. It sounded like do all of it for everybody to get along. That's really good, and that's not even unheard of, though. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people I knew who grew up in Cleveland who was in similar situations growing up. That's interesting. So all of you guys live in Cleveland, or you're all over the place?
No, I have one brother here in Cleveland. I have a brother in Virginia, and then my other 3 siblings are still in our hometown. They're still in Opelika.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you go back quite often, don't you?
Oh, as often as I can. Probably at least 3 times a year.
Oh, excellent. And I know you're a country girl because I know you and the councilman, you guys was raising chickens at one point.
Yes, we have 12 chickens.
You still got 12 chickens?
We have 12 chickens, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And what y'all do with them chickens?
They hatch. If the eggs, we get eggs from them, probably about 2 to 3 dozen eggs a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Y'all own so what happens in the wintertime?
Oh, they have a luxury coop.
Really?
So you know how innovative my husband is. So their chicken coop is heated.
Really?
And oh yeah.
So they got a pretty big place, almost like one of them storage garages,
No, it's not that big.
No, but it's a smaller one.
It's a smaller coop, and then they run the yard.
All winter long too.
Not necessarily in the winter. If there isn't any snow on the ground, we'll let them out. But other than that, they're in their
coop most of the winter time.
It's straw is there, very comfortable, and it's heated also.
So and we're going to get back to why you're here because I find certain things fascinating. No roosters, just chickens.
No roosters, just chickens.
So if you hens lay eggs,
yes,
rooster makes chickens, right. Correct? And you can't have any more chickens without a rooster.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm right. All right, so you guys aren't going to have no more than 12.
No, but actually we buy them as, we buy the eggs and then we incubate them until they're ready to have. Of course, a fox got it in the hen house.
No, I was talking to your husband when I think a
pit bull got in the hen house.
He was devastated. Oh my God, he was devastated.
He actually started the chickens with our daughter Margaret. She wanted them.
That's what he told me. Yeah.
And then so he got them for her, and so of course now getting ready to go off to college, and she's not even thinking about the chickens.
Wow. And he told me the story of that. I think he said he bought it because she was having some issues about something, and he thought it would be a good thing for her. And that's what they got started on.
Yeah, it's their father-daughter thing. That's their bond. Yeah.
Do y'all eat the chickens?
No, absolutely not. Never.
What happens when they get old?
Actually, we haven't had any to die naturally. We've had ones like the pit bull, the fox, and then at some point, if we get too many of them, Joe will take them. We have a farm that we take them to. And so the
farm
owner
do
of the
whatever
farm,
to do with them. Okay, that's what I was trying to get to. Okay, all right. So obviously that's what you guys would do with them there. Okay, that's interesting. So you bought the country to the city anyway.
Absolutely.
and I heard you're a decent cook as well. So
I love cooking. I love cooking. Cooking was the thing that I saw the women in my family do growing up. My mother, my aunts, my grandmother. So I love cooking, and I enjoy sharing that. My mom's deceased now.
Okay. Right.
But I enjoy sharing that with my sisters, my brothers can all cook like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
Yeah. And it's something that we get together, like Thanksgiving dinner, everybody's making something. And I'm talking about my brother Derek makes the best greens.
Really?
My brother Eric makes the best macaroni and cheese. We can cook in this family.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Everybody likes to eat, so I know that's good. So let's talk about this court and getting to that. You went to law school. So you went to law school here?
Yes, I went to undergraduate at Cleveland State.
Okay.
And got my bachelor's degree in social work. And then I went to law school at Cleveland State.
Oh, okay. And after Cleveland State, you worked a prosecutor, the public defender. You did any of that, or what did you do?
No, I worked for the city for 1 year, the community relations department. And then I went out took my shingle, hung it out, and was on my own for about 14 years.
Oh.
And I was a solo practitioner.
Okay. What do you specialize? What was your thing?
Family law, juvenile, and family law. With my bachelor's degree in social work, I've always wanted to help people. Okay. So being an attorney, naturally I gravitated towards that helping area of the law.
So you did your own stuff?
Did my own thing.
Okay.
For 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
That's so good. And then you decided then you decided I want to run for judge, huh?
So, no, I was a magistrate in juvenile court first.
That's right. That's right.
So after 14 years of practice with the kids getting older, because of course we have a 21-year-old son as well, that I just felt like I was needed more at home, and maintaining a private practice was just a lot of work, a lot of hours and time away. I shut down my practice, worked for a year at Parmadale for Catholic Charities. And then when Parmadale closed,
I remember Parmadale,
I went to juvenile court, and Judge Michael Ryan hired me as his support magistrate.
Okay. You was under Ryan. I
Yes.
forgot about that. Man, we getting old, man. Time's been going so fast. I remember when you said, I was just flashing back, remembering. Yes, that's right. You was over there. I remember all of that now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then, how do you like doing that juvenile? Let's talk a little bit about the juvenile courts and what's going on now with the juveniles and everything. I think was really, we're going to take a pause for one quick second.
Okay.
And we just good. Latif, you need batteries or something?
No, your camera's flickering. So.
No, I didn't change any batteries though. That's why I'm. You want to do that now, or you did it already?
No, I did it before.
Okay, I just didn't want to get started in the middle and we there.
We did anyway before we started.
Yeah.
So I had to change it.
All right, so we good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're gonna jump back in again. So we over at the juvenile court, and you was over there. How long was you in the juvenile court?
I was a magistrate in juvenile court starting in 2014 through the end of 2016 because my term began in January 2017 in domestic relations court.
And the juvenile court, and especially what's going on now, is a really big thing. It seems having a lot of issues with these juveniles being out and delinquency and all the other stuff that's going on now. It's changed a lot since you was there, right?
Oh, definitely. And certainly during my time there, I could see because when I was at juvenile court as a practitioner, I was a guardian ad litem for abuse, neglect, dependency cases. I did defense work in delinquency cases. So in the 16 years of my law practice legal experience was in juvenile court. And I can see the way the court changed, the crimes that the juveniles were committing and just the more seriousness of the things that were happening. And then even the deterioration of the family relationships. You start to seeing more domestic violence where there is children committing domestic violence against their parents and their younger siblings and things of that nature. And so it's being in juvenile court is extremely difficult because you have to balance the desire to create an intervention to help this child because you want to help. You can't be working in juvenile court in any capacity and not truly have a passion for wanting to make an impact in the lives of the children and the families that are there. But you have to balance that against what's the safety of society. And so you're looking at the crimes that they're committing and you're seeing that they're becoming more egregious. What do you do as a jurist in juvenile? Like, how do you balance that? So,
Well, and that got to be difficult.
It's very difficult.
It's difficult because even as you talked, I'm sitting here thinking, lock them up. But you can't always have that.
No.
You can't always have that frame of mind because even as adults, you wouldn't want that to just happen to you. So everybody deserves an opportunity. But it just seems like right now things are just so bad now that everybody's timid and scared. They don't know what to do.
I know. Here's the thing that I always think about when you're dealing with children. We cannot expect for juveniles and children to have the same ability to process information and to make decisions as adults do. So they're gonna do some stupid stuff, right? They're gonna take risks. They're gonna make mistakes. And unfortunately, now those mistakes just have greater consequences and a further reaching impact. So for instance, bullying. I didn't get bullied because like my brothers are 2 are 6'6" and the other one is like 6'9". Nobody gonna bully me. My sisters and I didn't get bullied. Okay. But bullying, right? So you see the social media, and so someone may come in and their child may be charged with intimidation or harassment or something like that, and it all happened over social media. This kid that's doing it may be an honor roll student. They may not have any other problems at home or in the community, but the impact of that on the child that they bullied is what?
Right.
So and then you start looking at, even my husband and I were talking about this the other day, a car theft. When we were younger, people would steal cars. It was like, oh, okay, they stole a car and they didn't go on a high-speed chase. You know what I mean? I remember I had a case in juvenile court when I was on the bench, and a young man had stolen a car on the west side. And he drove it, and then he ran out of gas, and he stole a car on the east side. And he literally explained to me that the reason he did it was because he ran out of gas. He had to get from the west side to the east side. He ran out of gas, so he stole another car, and he was trying to get home. But the impact of that, If someone steals my car, I got to pay my deductible. How am I going to get to work? And I have to incur money with a rental car. So those things have far-reaching impacts.
That's the part, though. And I get that, but I don't. All right? Because I done been stuck on the west side as a young kid.
Right.
I've been stuck in places that I had to get back home and everything. Still in the car was not an option.
Because your friends didn't glamorize it. Because it wasn't the thing to do.
Yeah. I grew up with some guys who were still in cars.
Yeah, but it wasn't the thing to do, though. Like, it wasn't your first choice. In fact, you probably rode your bike to the west side, or you caught the bus to the west side. The kids not riding their bikes and catching the bus.
But that's a choice, too.
That is a choice, too. But I'm saying, though, society and the times have changed. And kids are faced with more difficult decisions, the peer pressure, the things that are glamorized that were not glamorized. I remember when we were, and I may be older than you.
No, we were on the same age.
Okay.
Yeah.
People didn't, it wasn't, you didn't publicize or, I'm getting high, I'm cutting. So it was something you snuck out of school to get. Right. Nowadays, these kids no, I got that bud or whatever they're calling it these days. I ain't going to school today. And parents got to go to work. So all I know is when I was leaving to go home, go to work rather as a parent, I woke my child up and I'm gone. But these kids are just making different decisions.
And that's, again, I think it's a choice.
It's a choice, but then so now we're going to talk about consequences. What are the consequences?
And I don't think the consequences are tough enough for them with the choices that they're making. I believe that to your point, I believe that the laws and everything that were set up for that type of time of when that guy stole that particular car back in those days, because that's what happened. You didn't have a chase. You didn't have that. I think you got to change the laws to go with the times. I think that the crimes that they're committing based on the laws that they're doing are not equal. So again, we didn't steal a car because we knew the ramifications of what may happen. The guys steal a car today, they ain't worried about the ramifications of what happened because the ramifications aren't that steep.
Well, here's the thing, though. I feel like consequences start at home.
There is no home for a lot of them.
Okay. And then also the philosophy at home may not be that if you steal a car, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of that.
So, like, even if we change the laws and make the penalties tougher, right? Okay. But how is that going to fix? See, I'm a social worker first, right? So I'm looking for a solution. I think
how to fix it is that it makes you have to make another choice in making that dumb decision that you make, because we all make dumb decisions.
But can we talk about why you made that decision?
Because I'm young and I'm young, black, and I'm in the community where I'm full of all kinds of temptations that will allow me to make dumb decisions. I have to make the best of the dumb decisions.
So let me help you. So let's talk about that. Okay. Let me give you the tools that you need, because I don't have anyone at home that's helping me with that.
That's correct.
So now in comes to me a social service program, another individual, something at school
I agree.
To enhance. And unfortunately, we want to say the school shouldn't have to. No, the school shouldn't have to. But the reality of it is we need more involvement through social services, through the schools or whatever, because the parents have either lost control, absent, in agreement, unwilling.
An agreement is a lot. That's a big one. That's a huge one. Yeah,
in agreement or afraid.
Because here goes a good one. Here goes a really good one. I had got a contract to work, and this was by far the most difficult thing I have ever done. And I done ran a lot of political campaigns and did a lot. And you're going to trip out when I tell you this. But by far, last year, I got a call to work on this College Now program. Okay. And they was like, hey, Ken, we got this thing over at College Now. They need to help enrollment. Can you help us by doing some community engagement? Want you to do some canvassing and help us to increase the enrollment of students in College Now. Now I'm talking to my crew and everybody. They're like, Ken, we really don't want to do it. Don't take it. I'm like, y'all, this is easy. All right, come on. This is easy. Let's knock this out. Get it over with.
You thought you was dealing with your kids.
Well, now, hold on. Here goes my target. This is why I thought it was going to be a breeze. Your target is Cleveland Heights.
Okay.
And Cleveland. I said, okay. Cleveland Heights, your target is students from the 8th grade to high school. And Cleveland is just adults. Adults. I'm looking like you. Adults.
Parents.
They're like, yeah, because college now has funds and programs that we want more adults in Cleveland, and you'll understand why, to go back to school, either get their GED or go to college. And we have financing and grants and all kinds of things to help them do that. So we need you to help us with these numbers. I think we need something like 300 to 400 people in Cleveland to enroll, and in Cleveland Heights we need about 250, 300 students. I'm like, Cleveland Heights, that's me all day, right?
Right,
I'm like,
right.
cakewalk. I'm in the meetings telling them like, oh, we can do this in no time.
Right.
I'm talking to my kids and everybody like, hey, yo, we're gonna knock this out, right? Everybody like, Dad, we don't really want to do it. The people working with, nah, Ken, you should pass on this. Let's move. Judge, the toughest thing I ever had to do.
Yeah.
And I was knocking on doors. We had people knocking on doors in Cleveland Heights. We had people making phone calls. I say that going back to this point where we talking about agreement. Mm-hmm. There were actually parents who would come to the door when we talked to them, and they were coming back telling me, where the parents would say, I'm here, Kendall, I'm here to talk to you about your kid going to college now and blah, 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 and this and that. And they would say, call the kid down. Mm-hmm. You want to go to college? And the kid would be like,
it's a question.
It's a question.
Yeah.
And the kid would be like, in one case, the kid was saying, they knocked on the door and the guy was like, he ain't going to college. And they said, then they talked to him a little bit more. He called the kid to the floor and he asked him, do you want to go to college? The kid said he want to. And the parents said, yeah, that's just, and started talking to him. And the kid said, you know what, I don't want to go. So that's that part you were talking about. Mm-hmm. So I get what you're saying. That was in Cleveland Heights. Believe it or not, the easiest one was Cleveland.
Okay.
And going door to door, knocking on there, telling parents or grown folks that they can go to college and Cleveland went very well. We knocked that out. It was on the west side of Cleveland. I thought I was going to have a real issue doing that. That went very well. The problem that I had, believe it or not, was in Cleveland Heights, trying to convince their parents to get their kids to go to college. And the parent thing was they ain't going. They're going to take a year off. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they want to go to school.
I'm not going to waste my money.
I ain't going to waste my money. I'm like, this is free information. Maybe they don't decide to go. I'm telling them, hell, just get the information. You might change your mind later. Mm-hmm. I even still started talking to parents like, hey, what they going to do? They're going to lay on your couch after this is over with. Then they'll say, you know what, send me the information. That's the only way we're going to get them. You're right. Times has changed to a point that there's a lot of agreement with their kids, a lot of parents who want to be there. And maybe it's because they're closer to age. Maybe you got a lot of younger parents now. Maybe is that the deal?
And listen, I'm going to be 54 this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm older than you, see. About a year.
Yeah, and I have a 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And even though, of course, our daughter has been just a joy to raise, but the physical and emotional energy that it has taken as a parent, even it's different from having a child that's 3 years older than her. Like it takes a lot,
right?
And a lot of parents, after paying bills, going to work, dealing with life circumstances, there's a lot of energy, especially when you feel like your child is fighting against you.
Yeah. And
so that's why, like when I say the first consequences start at home.
That's correct.
I'll never forget, we have our kids on location, even our 21-year-old. It's a safety feature. I can't see through the phone what you're doing. I just need to make sure that you're safe. So she having fun, hanging out with her friends, and turns her location off. So I look down and I see her location is off. I said, oh, I suspended her phone service. So she calls me from her friend's phone, and she's like, Mom, there's something wrong with my phone. I said, I know somebody must have it. Somebody stole it from. She said, no, why you say that? I said, because your location is off. Because I know you ain't turned your location off. Right. And so she was like, Mom, I'm with Sophie. Hey, you need to turn your location on. Now I'm going to turn this phone back on, and you need to turn your location on. And don't do it. I haven't had that problem again.
Wow. And when you were sitting there saying that, I was like, damn, that's ingenious.
Yeah.
All these years. Now they're gone. I don't need to do it no more. But I was sitting there like, all these years.
Yeah.
Damn, that was ingenious.
Because why am I going to argue with you about something that I have control over?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And that's the thing. Like, as parents, we have to hold our children accountable for the consequences, right? Right. We can't keep moving the floor for them. They have to, at some point, experience the consequences. And always, my goal as a parent with my children has always been to establish boundaries without building a wall. There are boundaries, there are consequences, but I don't want to build a wall that's so much that everything is just a constant fight all the time.
It's the time too. You guys put a lot of time in that. I've been watching you guys, and just like you guys watched us with our girls, we stayed totally active in keeping them active and present in the stuff that they were doing, to even give them halfway of a chance.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
And to that point again, a lot of kids don't have that. And that forces back into the world where all these crazy things are coming at you. Which decisions do I make are the best? Because I'm coming home to not a judge and a councilman. I'm coming home to maybe an empty house, or I'm coming home to have person that's maybe today with me and tomorrow may not be with me because they're on drugs or whatever the case is. And I think that's a big deal.
Something else too. Think about the trauma that kids today are experiencing. Growing up in Alabama, I think I had one friend who died like during my childhood, and that was because he was drag racing and he got killed in a car accident. Okay, but when I moved to Cleveland, it was like not right away, but I would say like within the 2 years or so, people being shot and killed. That was foreign to me. And it was traumatic for me as a teenager to lose friends to stuff like that. And so that was back then when it wasn't happening as frequently. But look at now, how many friends that these kids have, or people that they know that are killed due to gun violence or violence in the streets, and on the phone, social media. So even if they don't know these people personally, sometimes you get trauma from just seeing it. That's one of the reasons why I've never had a desire to be on the bench in the Common Pleas Court General Division. Because I don't want to see that side of people. I used to do a lot of like extreme abuse cases in juvenile court as a guardian ad litem prior to me having my son. After I gave birth to our son, I was like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. So I can imagine how the teenagers and kids today are feeling that, in addition to having the natural death process for grandparents and other family members or whatever, they're having their friends murdered. Brutally murdered, and other bad things happening. There's a lot of trauma in the Black community.
It is.
So we need to start dealing with that trauma. We need to start addressing mental health. We need to start addressing substance use disorders, all the things that traditionally we've kept in the house. We're not going to talk about that. We need to start addressing those things, because if not, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better.
So let's go into this domestic court and divorce court and all of that. So I keep calling it divorce court because my wife watches damn divorce court every day, all day on her phone. All I can hear is that music over and over again. Even to the point I'm listening to the case like, I know we heard that one already. All right, what's going to happen? Why are you watching it? So tell me, what is domestic relations for the folks who know? Because I know we talked about it. You said I do more than divorces over there. So tell everybody what you guys do over there.
So let me just say that the Cuyahoga County Domestic Relations Court is the busiest domestic relations court in the state of Ohio.
Really?
Yes. We are also an award-winning court, and we are a model court for the things that we do. For instance, we have a dedicated domestic violence docket. So when people come in, we actually have 3 full-time domestic violence magistrates. We have advocates. We have just an entire team of people who help victims of domestic violence when they come to the court. So not many courts around the state have that.
Really?
We also have what's called a navigation center. It started out as the HELP, H-E-L-P center, where self-represented litigants could come to the court. We would assist them with forms and things of that nature, and not give them legal advice, but pretty much give them some of the guidance that they need in order to get their case properly finalized before the court. Because as a judge, I can't do that, right? I can't say, oh, this is what you need to do, or this is how you do it. But so now it's called the Navigation Center. And the Navigation Center is, oh my goodness, we do so many things in that navigation center with regards to answering phone calls. We assist with preparation of documents for finalization. Our technology is great. We are doing hearings by Zoom and DocuSign.
Okay.
So you can literally file for and receive your divorce without stepping 1 foot into the courthouse now.
Really?
Because we have electronic filing and all of that. So we also do child support.
Okay.
And like interstate jurisdictional child support cases where one parent lives out of state.
Okay.
So we handle those matters as well. And then, of course, all matters concerning a divorce or dissolution. So
what's dissolution?
A dissolution is a divorce by agreement.
Okay.
Where when it's filed, the separation agreement is there. If there are children, the parenting is there. All the issues have been resolved, and they file it, and then they come before us within about 60, but within 90 days, and we get them finalized.
So that's just basically the two parties agree to whatever they agreed
Everything
to.
out the gate.
And you don't have to come here, and I don't have to go through the divorce procedure.
That's correct.
So is it anything like divorce court?
Listen, I'm going to say you can't make this stuff up.
Really?
Oh, my goodness. I've seen it all. But I love being in domestic relations court because it's an opportunity really to help people that are in a very bad spot in life. Nobody gets married and look forward to the day that they're going to be divorced. So people aren't contemplating divorce from the day that they get married.
Okay.
So that in and of itself can be very traumatic for people. And so as a judge, I view my role as being able to assist them to get through that process and to be in a good space after it's over, as good as possible.
So is your cases are mainly women divorcing men, divorcing women?
I see it all. I see it all. I see all social, economic, race. I see it all. My uncontested docket, which is where a divorce is filed and the other spouse didn't file an answer. Okay. So we have a lot of that as well.
So what is when it comes down to trying to find out prenups and that kind of thing, that's where I was trying to go with that, is it best to have one of those things going into a marriage? That really makes it easier when you get these divorces?
It can, but of course circumstances change, right? So the biggest issue that I see with those agreements is that people do not fully disclose their assets. So if you fail to do that, then your prenup is not going to be valid.
Is it they fail because they got more
and they're withholding?
And they're withholding
of information. If there are provisions in there regarding bad acts like extramarital affairs, financial waste, that kind of stuff. But most of them do. If you get a good attorney, they will hold up. It's just, you just have to be honest with, and that's the thing, you have to be honest with the person who's drafting it. And then they can tell you like, okay, we got to find a way to deal with that asset, but you can't hide it because it'll make your entire agreement invalid.
So what's the number one reason why most people get divorced, you think?
I think people grow apart. I think people get married when they're young. They have an idea about what life is going to be. And over the years, raising children, caring for ailing parents, dealing with employment and your own health issues, you just get tired and worn down. And I need to make some changes, right? So what can I change? If I'm stuck on this job, then I can't just go out and get a job somewhere else. My children are adults and whatever, I'm tired of whatever I have to deal with them. I can't change my parents and my other family. But I can get rid of this person. Because I feel like to a certain extent, divorce is too easy. I wish that we could require people to do counseling or things of that nature.
You can't require it.
Cannot require it. Only if there are children involved. So I can require counseling as it relates to issues surrounding the children. But not reconciliation or reunification counseling for the parents.
But if a person's ready to get divorced, though, ain't they like, let them go, right?
Yeah. But I think, though, sometimes, and this is when I really feel like badly, like my heart just wrenching, when I see one spouse that is, because sometimes nothing happened. Sometimes it really and truly is, well, I don't want to be with you no more.
Just, I'm tired of you.
Not even that you did anything. I've had them say, she's a good woman, he's a good man. I just don't want him no more. I don't want to be married anymore. we've raised our kids and our kids are gone. Now I'm ready to do me. And we don't have the same priorities. So
wow.
I'm done. Yeah.
You get quite a bit of those, huh?
I do. I do.
Wow.
I hate when I have families in front of me that have been really successful at raising their kids, building a business, financially sound and all that. And I'm just like, man, by the time this is over with, y'all going to be torn apart. Because you're going to have to either sell the business, get somebody, even people work to pay off their houses, right? Okay, great. Now you have an asset. This person is entitled to 50% of it. So whereas your house is valued at $200,000, you owe this person $100,000. Where are you going to get that money from? You're going to have to start over with your mortgage. You got to either sell it
right,
or take out a mortgage and get the money out.
So how do you determine alimony and all of that? Who pays the alimony?
Yeah, it's typically the person, of course, who has a greater amount of income. But I am definitely a jurist that leans more to the side of if you're able-bodied, you're going to be working if you're on my docket.
Everybody's not entitled to alimony.
It's
right?
not an automatic entitlement.
So what makes you eligible for alimony?
We look at the length of the marriage, the age, the health, the income, earning and income ability. So there are like all kinds of factors in the Ohio Revised Code that we have to look at and consider when I'm determining whether or not spousal support is what we call it is appropriate.
Really? What are some of those things like?
So I have to look at expenses. Right, so expenses after the...
No, and I guess my question, what I'm trying to ask is, you say everybody's not eligible for it, right?
Well, you're eligible, but you're not entitled.
I guess I'm using the wrong word.
Yeah.
Entitled. So everybody's not entitled to it.
And it's gender neutral. Because I have some women that are paying spousal support to their ex-husbands.
So is it just something you say, I just want it, and you figure out whether they should get it? Or
so they file and they ask for it, and then the court goes through the process of determining whether or not it's appropriate.
So I was married to somebody, and he or she wasn't working, like you say, it's gender neutral. They wasn't working for maybe we married 20 years, and for 10 of those years they didn't work. Then we decide we go in our separate ways. Do I have to pay them alimony?
You may for a short period or for a period of time, right?
Oh, so that's the other thing. It's always a period of time.
Right.
So you don't have to pay alimony.
No, it's not
all
indefinite. Sometimes it's indefinite, depending
Really?
upon the length of the marriage and the health. Like if I have a person that's severely disabled and they're unable to work, then you're likely going to be paying some spousal support for a prolonged period of time. Or if I have people that have been married in excess of 30 years, then you're going to be paid. And sometimes what I do is we have to get really creative, right? Because I always think about the person that's going to work. I have to give this person an incentive to go to work and to continue to earn as well. Right. If they're going to work and this person's just staying home and doing nothing, then come on, that's not fair. And then also, if I have a wife, let's say, who hasn't worked in a long time, why didn't they work? People think that because you have a person staying at home, the other person was in agreement. No, they're not always in agreement. Some people are like, you need to get a job. And the other person could be like, why should I get a job? You're making X amount of dollars. So then that becomes a fight. So I'm looking at the finances. I'm looking at, does this person have a physical or mental health or some other type of disability that prevents them from being able to work? So we do vocational assessments. And vocational experts assess their ability to work. If it was a nurse, did she maintain her certification? If not, how much longer will it take? How long will it take for her to get it back? That kind of stuff. You may start off at one number for spousal support, then that number may decrease as that person has an opportunity to be back in the workforce.
So what happens if you don't pay your alimony?
You could be held in contempt. And could be held in contempt, right? Because the inability to pay is a defense to contempt. So if a person has a spousal support order and let's say they lost their job, how are they going to pay spousal support if they lost their job? How are they going to pay child support if they lost their job? So they could be held in contempt. And then if a person is held in contempt, then they're always given the opportunity to do what we call this purge, which is find a way to get rid of the contempt finding.
Well, now, as it relates to children, because you say you deal with the divorce with the kids as well, how you decide who gets the kids? if both of them wants it.
So there are also factors in the Ohio Revised Code that I have to consider when it comes to allocating parental rights. So for me, and this is where our own personal experiences, I feel like, come into play. My parents divorced. My dad was not very active in our lives after my parents divorced, but I always had the best relationship with my paternal family members, my grandmother, my aunts and uncles. That those relationships remained intact. So for me, I feel like it's very important for kids, because I feel like, to me, it's not about the parents' rights. Kids have a right to have a relationship with both of their parents. So for me, a starting point in any divorce is always shared parenting.
That's correct.
And equal parenting time.
So do the kids have a say-so, though?
They have a say. They can say, no, we can interview the kids, or I can appoint a guardian ad litem to go out and talk to the children, but the children don't get to say, this is where I want to go, and then I'm going to say, your child wants to live with his dad, so he's going to live with his dad. Now, we all know, having had teenagers, who wants to have a rebellious teenager in your household who doesn't want to be there.
That's correct.
And that's when we start doing.
That's a really big deal.
Yeah.
That's a really big deal. You're right.
Then that's when we try to do some reunification counseling between the child and the parent who they no longer want to have a relationship with, or something like that.
Does shared parenting, and this is a question from the brothers in the streets, we always figured, does shared parenting affects your child support?
It can, yes. It will impact your child. Not shared parenting in and of itself, right? Because we're talking about two different things. Shared parenting just addresses the legal custody.
Okay.
So you can have legal custody to one parent, or you can have shared parenting where both parents have legal custody and equal decision-making authority. Now, the parenting time schedule, that is what impacts the amount of child support that you pay. Yeah.
The amount of time
that you spend.
So shared parenting, I hear you now, because you said you got to do that, and you need a schedule.
That's right. That's right.
You need a schedule.
So a lot of men will come into court and say, I want shared parenting.
But we forget the schedule.
So then I say, okay. That's
all
good.
Right.
And then the wife is like, yeah, we can do shared parenting.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay.
Right.
So that means I don't have to pay support. No, let's talk about the schedule. So I can't have equal parenting time? No. You're going to have to pay support, or you need to go talk to her about some type of deviation.
So what does equal parenting time looks like?
Okay, so you can do 1 week on, 1 week off. You can do what we call a 5-5-2-2 split. So
you can't give me no numbers and then say.
So 5 days with one parent, 5 days with the next parent, and then 2 days in between.
Really?
Yeah. And so the parenting plan really depends upon the age of the child and what that child's needs are. Do we have a child who is on target, growth-wise, mentally wise, developmentally wise? Is this child on track with other kids in their age? Do the parents live in the same school district? So a lot of times somebody gets divorced far east, living in Solon, let's say, and then the other person want to be as far away as they can from the other person, and they move to Westlake. But you just moved on the complete opposite end of the county.
Correct.
And then the child, unless the child goes to school in a location that's of equal distance, but I'm not going to have a 8-year-old ride in 45 minutes to go to school. Come on.
So I guess it got to be really tough then if you got that parent who lives in D.C. and you live in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And y'all both were here in Ohio. You mad at each other now, y'all divorced, and I'm going home and you going home. Finding out where that child stays and how that can be really hard. And then, like you said, a shared parenting schedule will have to be nightmarish in that, right? Or is that even possible?
No, typically what people will do is that, so the entire summer, so for the parent that lives in a long distance parenting plan, typically the parent that lives out of state will get the child the day after school is over. And then they have them for the entire summer, most likely until the week before school begins. And then they'll have them for, depending on how far they live, for breaks, Thanksgiving, Christmas, spring break, all of that.
And that accounts for that account in the schedule.
So then we put that in the schedule, and that also will impact the amount of child support that you pay.
Okay.
Because we got who's paying for transportation to and from. So there are a lot of factors to consider.
And that's a good question. I guess the parent who wants them have to pay for them to get there.
Not
right?
always.
Really?
Not always. Like I'm not going to punish somebody because they chose to move to a different state, especially if they had a better job opportunity, or either their job moved them.
Okay.
So it really depends. It's not the main thing about being in court. Nothing is automatic, and I think that's a good thing. And our domestic court is also a court of equity. So we have the law that we have to follow, but then we have some flexibility or some leeway for the sake of equity.
Okay. So let me get to some questions for you as we round in third head at home. Tell me, what's the best part about being a judge in that court? What's the best thing you like about that job?
That I can actually help people. That, and not from the sense of ordering people, this is what you're going to do, but having real conversations with people about what their lives look like when they were married, and what do they expect for their lives to look like after the divorce is final, for themselves and for their children as well. Also getting parents to stop. I tell my parents, I need for you to love your children more than you hate your soon-to-be ex-spouse.
That's you should have that on the theme when they walk in the door.
No,
they should read
because that's important. You're fighting about what?
Yeah.
Stop. You're hurting your kids more than you're hurting the person that you think you're hurting.
Yeah.
You're not even hurting them.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, so I enjoy being able to really help people.
What's the worst part?
Like when people don't listen. When they get so dug in, and I'm not just talking about to me, because you're going to listen to me,
Right.
but even to their attorneys or to their other spouse or to their kids, when they get so dug into their positions that they can't see past what they're feeling or what they're thinking.
And sometimes they really hurt getting in their own way, as they say.
Yeah, and I think this is the 4th year that I'm operating the Families First program, being the judge over that program, which is phenomenal. It's done a lot for families, and I'm so very thankful for the grant that we received and the continued funding and support for our community partners. That program is really doing some good things for families. We've had people to come from other states and to take a look at what we're doing and so that we can try to replicate it. So I'm hoping to get that part going.
Excellent. All right, here goes another one for you. If you could trade places with somebody for a day, who would it be?
Man, Oprah.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to be Oprah
I
for a
spend
day?
a day at the mall. Can I take all the stuff? Can I take the cars that I want, the house that I want to be Oprah for a day?
You want Oprah?
Yeah, I want Oprah.
That's your first one.
Yeah,
Oprah hadn't came up yet, so you want
to be
Oprah.
And then also, I feel like Oprah does a lot of good as well. She's a feel good kind of person too. So I like Oprah Winfrey a lot.
Let's see. What's your guilty pleasure? No, you right. That's what I tell people this. Tell me what's your guilty pleasure you want to share with them.
Honestly, my guilty pleasure really and truly is sitting on the patio with Joe in front of a fire, because we rarely get that kind of downtime. So that's my guilty pleasure, really and truly. It's just quality alone time with my husband.
Best compliment you ever got?
Say from litigants, thank you. You really helped me. You made a difference. And I'm not talking about in the courtroom. If I bump into people in the grocery store and stuff like that, I've had somebody walk up to me and say, thank you. You made a difference. You really helped me. Yeah.
Something you wish you could be better at?
I don't know. Maybe parenting?
Really?
Yeah.
You think you could do better at parenting?
I do.
You did pretty well at that. You got
think
2
I've done
kids
well.
in great schools.
Yeah.
You graduated from great high schools.
Yeah.
You attended every one of their damn games.
I know.
What more do you think you could do?
I think as a parent, I'm always second guessing myself. Sometimes, dang, I should have done this or I shouldn't have done that.
Really?
But yeah. I think parenting is that thing for me.
Wow. What's the worst piece of advice someone ever gave you?
You already have a job. Don't worry about going to law school. Somebody told me that. Yep. Somebody told me
that is wild.
Yeah.
And here goes my last one. What never cease to make you smile? Make you laugh. Whatever ceased to make you laugh when you think about it? What makes you laugh?
Just memories of my mom.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. The funny things that she used to say and do with my brothers and our siblings. We're always talking about her and her sayings and all this stuff. Yeah.
Think about that, and it always make you smile.
Yeah. Her nickname was Captain Panic because she panicked about everything. Yeah. So yeah, thinking about my mom.
Excellent. Judge, we really appreciate you coming, taking the time out to educate us and tell us everything we needed to know. You really helped us out. Brothers, now we know we got to get that schedule along to share parenting. I think we keep missing this step.
Right. Thank you for having me.
Oh, not a problem at all.
My pleasure.
And just like with all our programs, we're going to let you have this camera right there so you can tell the people what you want to know. If there's something happening at the court they should be aware of, if it's something that's on your heart, you just want the people to know. Okay. Judges, cameras on you.
All right. I'm going to say don't give up. Keep fighting, keep coming to court. A lot of people get frustrated. People complain a lot about what's happening or what's not happening in the court system. But there are a lot of times where I see people who are sitting on their rights. They're not following through. They get frustrated. Don't get frustrated. Don't give up, especially when it comes to parenting. And I'm talking particularly to the men. Don't give up. This is not the same court system that it used to be where the children custody was automatically given to the mother. Those days are not the same. Keep coming. Your kids need you, fathers, as much as they need their mothers.
Hey, Judge, I want to thank you for coming out to our program, and we really appreciate you. And everybody, we'll see y'all next time. Peace. Hey, I'm going to jump to something. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to throw this in. I want to talk just real quick and we'll let you go. Domestic violence, and we're going to probably put this in there because we didn't talk, but domestic violence as it relates to that, are you seeing more of that coming from the female side or the male side, or is the numbers going up?
The numbers for domestic violence are definitely increasing. When I first started at the court, we had, I think one of those said was maybe 2 full-time magistrates. And now we have 3 full-time magistrates. And it's certainly more men. I do feel like more men are the respondents in our cases. They're the ones who are being accused of committing acts of domestic violence. But there's definitely been an increase of domestic violence. You know, our court deals with domestic violence not only in marriages, but also in family relationships and dating as well. So we've seen a lot. And some of that, to me...
So how do you do a domestic violence in dating?
You're dating. It's in the dating relationships. Previously, people would have to go to the general division.
That's what I thought. That's an assault, right?
But now we have it as domestic violence. You could be charged with it, not charged with it, but like the petition can be in our court.
In your court instead of where it usually goes. Really?
People can be charged with assault and domestic violence, depending upon the degree of the injury that occurs.
So what makes you dating to make it over into that?
If you're in a relationship, if you're in a dating relationship.
What constitutes a dating relationship? 60 days? I just started dating you yesterday.
No. So it depends, right? It depends on how people hold themselves out. If this is my partner, not necessarily that we're living together, but this is the person who I'm with. Okay. Then we're in a dating relationship. Yeah.
And so just for the fellas again, because the reason why I brought it up to domestic and where the numbers going up, because I've been hearing a lot of various different cases with guys who get into issues and they don't report domestic violence, where they won't say this is what happened, but when the police come to the house or whatnot, they won't say that she started this or she did that, and they automatically assume the guy did it. They automatically put the guy out the house, and they automatically, you end up going to court, and she may drop the charges or some stuff like that. So, Judge, what's your advice to people, and you done been in this situation and heard a lot of cases coming across, when you at that point, and we talking that boiling point, what's your advice to the guys?
Step away, leave. Leave. If you see that things are escalating, leave. Because chances are, if you are a male and you're in that situation and the police arrive, you're gonna be the one that's arrested. So they need to leave.
All right, Judge. I appreciate that. That's what I need. We're going to put that. Oh, Lateef said you got a question?
Not all about me, man.
Well, you never say. I keep telling you, got to jump in. We can't hear you. We ain't here jamming. So you got something, you better put it in. We'll drop it in. Go ahead.
All right. I just read this article online, and it was like, okay, a football player, I guess he had one romantic encounter with a lady, but he didn't, for whatever reason, he wasn't messing with her no more. So she's been harassing him and his mother. What should that guy do? What should he do before it escalates into domestic violence or somebody going that far?
He can get a restraining order, right? So like in our court, you can get a civil protection order against a person that is harassing you, and that protection order can also include his mother. So he would just need to come in and ask for that.
Now, have you dealt personally with like maybe a celebrity or well-known person or athlete in a divorce or domestic violence situation, and how was that?
Yes, I have. And I treat all people the same in terms of my attitude, my presentation, my expectations, of how cases should proceed. Sometimes you have to make, and this is with police officers, firemen, doctors, certain professions, you have to make some exceptions for parenting, and because you got to look at what their job requirements are. They don't work traditional hours and things of that nature, so you treat them the same, but it's not, I would say that they don't get special privileges in front of me.
I'm going to ask you a question. You can answer it, or you can say, I can't answer it. And you ain't got to tell me who, but I just want to know. What was the most money you allocated to some woman for alimony, and what's the most you ever allocated to a man for alimony?
This is what I'll say. In most cases where there are large dollars at stake, people are smart enough to get their cases resolved.
They don't need that up to
so
you.
They're not going to let me tell them how much to pay, right?
I know that's right.
I'll say that the most amount of spousal support that I've seen where the wife was the person who received the support was $65,000 a month.
Woo.
And that was by agreement of the parties.
Woo.
The most
for life?
No, it wasn't for that. The most where I've seen for a male by agreement was $34,000 a month.
My brother didn't come out too bad.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh. So I always come up with these questions after I let y'all go. That's why I say I got to drop these back in.
But people who have that kind of money, they resolve their stuff. They're going to come in with a disillusion, or they're going to come in and they're going to have some litigation, but then they're going to go to mediation, or they're going to say, wait a minute, let us just get this resolved. Yeah.
That's officially it. You done, Lateef?
Yes, I am done.
All right, that's it, Judge. Thank you again.